Hello, my name is Joan Linsner-Persklev. I live on the Wirral with my dog, who is a Dachshund, a wire-haired Dachshund, who is very naughty. He's a puppy, and I love him, and his name's Bear. I love art because it's an escapism. It's a world entirely that you can go to and just escape into on your own terms. Art to me is a way of life because I absolutely love it. I love the escapism that it brings. And once you start painting, you get right into it and you just feel absolutely as though you're in that area and you just want to carry on and do it all the more. I started painting when I was about 35 because I sell my shops. I had fashion shops and I sold the shops and thought, well, I'll have to do something, so I decided I'd do painting. And it came very easy to me because if you love something, you do it well. And I did love painting. When I was a child, I didn't do an awful lot of painting, but I knew I could do it. I knew that it was something that I could really do without any effort. But no, I was so busy doing other things like modelling, and then I had shops and I was decorating the shops. So no, I never really had any time to paint until I sold my business and then said, yes, this is what I'm going to do. At school, the only thing I ever excelled at was art. It was the only thing I loved doing. I wasn't very academic because I'm dyslexic, and I didn't know that until I had my son, and I took him to be tested, and he is quite dyslexic. And then they said it comes from the mother, evidently. So when I was tested, I was told there and then, yes, you're dyslexic as well. I think that's why I find art so easy, because it's pictures and it's not words. And the words used to confuse me, and I didn't read until I was nearly 13. I used to sit at the back of the class and hide when the teacher came round to ask us all to read or get up and say a poem or anything. When I was a child, I was born in Liverpool, and when I was a child, I spent most of my days in Sefton Park. I used to walk along Egberth Road, down Lark Lane, which is famous now, I believe. I'd go into the park, Sefton Park, and I'd go to the Palm House, and it was wonderful. All our friends, we could all walk there. It was fabulous. It was a really nice place to grow up. I had a really nice childhood there. My childhood was very good, but my parents absolutely wrapped me in cotton wool because during the war, when my father was away, my mother had my brother, and unfortunately he died of diphtheria when he was 4 years old. So when I came along, which was a few years later when the war was over, they just treated me as if I couldn't go out, I couldn't have a bike, I had to be so careful in case anything happened to me. It was it was quite stressful in a way, but but my parents were really good people, really, really nice. And so I was growing up as an only child and being very, very well looked after. When I got married, which was years and years later, I decided to move to the Wirral. When I first moved over here, I thought, what on earth will I do here after living in Liverpool? Because Liverpool is so vibrant and busy and bustly, and it was just a different place, and it was quiet. There was only one car up and down the road. I thought, I'm going to die in this place. And now I don't think I could live anywhere else. I love it here. It's quiet, and it's really very beautiful, the Wirral. Very, very beautiful. And of course, for painting, it's absolutely wonderful because you've got the peninsula, you've got waters, sea, everything. Everything is here. So yeah, I love the Wirral. When I left school, I didn't know what to do because although I was arty, I didn't know where I could use that kind of work. So I went into hairdressing, and I didn't like it, but I carried on for a little while. And I worked for a very nice man called Peter Collins, and I worked there for quite a few years. I got my diploma for being a hairdresser, and one day somebody came into the salon and asked me if I'd like to do some modelling, because she said I was quite tall and she thought I would do good at it. So I did. I started modelling, and then I got the sack from Peter's shop because I was always in the newspaper when I should have been at work. So he said, "Joan, I'm sorry, I've got to let you go because all the staff are saying you should be at work and you're on the front page of the Mail or the Mirror." Not terribly wonderful papers, but at least I was in them. Then I went into modelling, and I worked for quite a while in modelling. It was very interesting and I loved it. I didn't like the catwalk very much, but I loved the photographic work, which was really interesting and really nice. And then I decided to have my own business. I got married, and my husband was always away. And we decided that if we had our own business, we'd see more of each other. So we bought fashion shops. When I was about 23, I decided I would learn to do some yoga, because I'd worked so hard in my business that I'd started having slight panic attacks, and I thought, well, maybe yoga is the answer, the way forward, because it's calming, it's soothing, the postures are nice. So I went to a course in my local area, and it was very, very good. She was an excellent teacher. She was a girl from the Wirral who'd been to India and learned how to, she learned the whole thing about yoga, all the philosophy, all the postures, everything. And I went to her, and it was wonderful. And then all of a sudden she decided she'd leave and go back to India. I thought, oh, what am I going to do? I really could do with a decent yoga teacher. So I tried about 6 or 8. I went to all the classes I could go to, and not one of them was like this girl that I'd had. So I thought, right, I will have to learn it so I can go home and do it myself. So then I went to a class which was very, very good in Wallasey, which is on the Wirral. And it was a lady and her husband, and they were both yogis, and they taught and gave a diploma, which was fabulous. So I got my diploma from them, and from then on I was an official yoga teacher. I didn't want to teach it myself, but all my friends would say, "Oh yeah, come on, teach it. If you know it, teach it." So I started, and I started with about 4 girls, and in the end I had about 20 in the class, which was really quite nice, because I had those 20 girls for years. They used to come religiously, and they'd ring me up and give me all their problems, and it was really, really nice. I really enjoyed that aspect of yoga. It was good. When I started doing yoga, it sort of pushed me into doing art, really, because there are so many things that are so connected. It was a real connection between yoga and painting. And you see, as in art, yoga teaches you to look at things properly and not just walk past them or ignore them or don't see them for what they really are. So, and as does art. Art is exactly the same. It teaches you to look at things in a different way. And oh gosh, it was just fabulous, and it woke me up. I saw a rose for the first time properly, and from then on I thought, I have to keep doing this yoga, and that's how I think it's so like art. I was having an extension done on the house, and I looked at the garage, which was full of rubbish, and I thought, yeah, I can do something with this garage. So then I thought, right, I'll knock it through and add a bit to the back, and it'll make a very nice studio. So I emptied everything out, and we knocked through the garage, and then we added a bit on the back, and hence the studio arrived. And that's when I felt, right, I can go now and start to paint and really get into it without sitting in the kitchen at the table with all my stuff. You know, it's so wonderful to have a studio where you can just put all your paints and splash things around and it doesn't matter. Yeah, so it was very interesting how I sort of fell into it. My house was being rebuilt and I thought, yeah, I'll do the studio as well. I look through lots and lots of books and I pick up things from famous artists and I sort of put them into my own way. I like to go to exhibitions and see everybody else's work. And I'm a thief really. I take bits and things from everybody and just put them all together and yeah, they work. I think every artist must steal bits of other artists' work. If they see something that really impresses them, they think, oh yeah, I'll use a little bit of that. Perhaps change it around a bit, change the colour or something, and then use that. I'm inspired by nature. I love seascapes, I love landscapes. You know, I get fed up with doing one thing, so then I go on and do something else. And I think that's life. I think you should do lots and lots of things, really. A painter which I think is really good in it's Cézanne, and I love his card players. I just think they're wonderful. I don't know why it looks as though, you know, they're really into playing these cards and both of them want to win, and it's a really lovely painting. Of course, it's the world's most expensive painting, which I just happened to paint in watercolour instead of oils, and I had such a job to do because I had to make the watercolour look like oils, so I had to use everything straight from the tube. So it wasn't an easy picture to do, but it was most enjoyable. I took it to my son to show, and he said, oh gosh, he said, that's great, and he hung it in his toilet. So I thought that was quite interesting. The fact that although he loved it, it was pushed in the loo downstairs. But yeah, I love Cézanne. I love lots of artists. I love Gauguin. I love lots and lots of different artists, all for their variety of colour and strength and different paintings. Picasso is just brilliant. That's why I drew his horse with my son. And everyone says, gosh, that's different, isn't it? It's a bit like Picasso on one side, and then there's Ross on the other. Turner's one of my biggest influences because his pictures are so ethereal and they're so gentle. Even when he does his seascapes, you know, the mountainous seas, and yet there's something very gentle and very sweet about his work. Yeah, I like Turner a lot. I get up in the morning and I come down and I decide what I'm going to do for the day. I meditate every day. So I have a group of friends who come for meditation, and afterwards we have coffee and scones. So I set about making the scones before I've done anything else. Then I take my gorgeous little dog Bear for a walk, and then I come back and we meditate. Then we have our scones and coffee, and then I go into my studio and start the day. And I feel relaxed, I've had a nice time, and I just go into the studio and think, what am I going to do today? And there's something always which flicks my switch and think, oh yes, I'll do this. This is Bear. This is my beautiful boy Bear. He's very naughty though, he's only a pup, but he's a naughty boy, he does all kinds of naughty things. You're lovely, Bear. Are you a good boy? Are you good? Oh, I think you're very good. Yes, I think you're very good. I think most people look at art and there's something in it which reminds them of something they love or they've got, or it just brings them home, and they think, yeah, I love that, I'm going to have that painting. But it's a very difficult thing, selling art, very difficult, because it's so different to everybody. It's so individual. I went on a trip to Dubai and India, and when I was in Dubai I painted the Bedouins, and I also painted the musical trio of dancers where they have very long hair and they swing it round. So they're two very interesting paintings that I've done. And then of course I went on to Rishikesh, which is really the yogis ashrams, and that was very interesting. I went to an ashram for 2 days, and that was really good. I learned quite a lot from that. And I also learned a lot from the girls in the fields. They were dressed in the most wonderful clothes and saris, and yet they were out picking rice and working. It's just an amazing place, India. When I first went there, I thought, oh gosh, I can't stand this country, I've got to go home. I was in the taxi coming through all this smog and fog and cars and people, and I was really quite emotional. I thought I should never have come here. And then after 2 days, once you get the dirt under your fingernails of India, you love the place. It is fantastic. The people are wonderful. When I was in India, we were having a journey one day. We were having a trip out, and we were in a taxi, and this gorgeous little girl came up to us and stood at the window of the taxi and said, oh, please, food, food, food. So I felt very sorry for her. I had a few rupees left because I'd given all my money away. And I was just about to give it to her. And the bus driver looked down at me and he waved his hands and said, no, 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 no. And I said, what? No, 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 no. And anyway, I gave her the money, and he jumped down out the bus, and he pulled an arm out of her dress, which she was hiding and telling me she only had one arm, and he pulled the other arm out of her dress. And that's the type of place India is. It's full of character and people. And this little girl then started to beat up the bus driver because he'd let her down, and he'd shown that she had 2 arms instead of 1. And it's just that type of country. It's just absolutely wonderful. One other area when we were in India, which was very interesting, was when we were going for our Diwali festival. It was the time of day all the Indians were crossing the bridge of the River Ganges, which was in full flood. And it was a smallish bridge, but it was enough to get about 4 people abreast on it. And when we got onto this bridge and we turned around and looked behind, there was a cow on the bridge, there was a motorbike on the bridge, there were people all behind pushing us, because everybody in India stands very close to each other. There's no personal space. And we were being pushed on this bridge, and the person I was with was terrified of animals, and he said, don't let that cow come near me. So I'm trying to keep the cow away from him and listening to the motorbike behind me revving up like mad, smoke everywhere. It was just amazing. And I thought, no other country could live like this, no people could live like this. It was just fantastic. When we got off the bridge, we put all our candles into little paper boats which the Indian people were selling, and we sailed them down the river, which was in full flood, which it was absolutely wonderful, and to see all these lights on the river. And then we came off the bridge, which was amazing because it was so crowded and very hot, so you can imagine. And as we were walking along, the cow was walking along with us. Everybody was walking along with us. It's as though we couldn't get rid of all these people. And then we pretty well ended up in an area where we had to get a cab and get in the cab and go to Rishikesh, which is, as I said before, is where I learned a lot of the yoga, the really true Indian yoga. So my visit to India, what I took from that was being able to, when I came home, I started painting in far brighter colours and doing far brighter things, because it was such an experience. And to see these girls in the beautiful saris and that all working, going to work on an ordinary day looking absolutely super. And so when I came back, I really started painting in brighter colours, and gave a lot more detail to my work. So yeah, India did help me with my art. I don't know why, but I had a time where I actually had painter's block, and I just couldn't pick up a brush or a paper or a pencil, and it just drove me crazy because I really wanted to paint, but I couldn't. I just could not paint, and I don't know why. And it took me over 2 years before it passed. And I think going to galleries in Liverpool, of which we're very lucky because we've got beautiful gallery in Liverpool. And I think going to that gallery and going to a few of the littler ones, which we've got a sweet little Williamson Gallery in Birkenhead. So going to these galleries really got me back onto the road again and stopped me from being in this painter's block mode. And but it's not fun. It's like writer's block or any block. You just can't do it. You just don't know why. You don't know why it stopped you, but it did. It just stopped me full pelt. I had a commendation from Williamson Art Gallery with one of my large canvas paintings, and that really spurred me on. That really pushed me forward to carry on doing these large canvases. I do like painting on large canvases, but then again, you have to think about the public, and most people now don't want very large paintings because they've either got them or their house is full of paintings. So you have to be very careful to make sure that you do paintings that people are going to buy. I don't always think of that. I always just do what I like, and if people don't like it, well, there's nothing I can do about that. Which really, I don't paint for the public, I paint for myself and what I like. I had an exhibition at Heswell and sold quite a few paintings from Heswell Hall, and I was absolutely shocked because I was with two other artists, and they sell things, but I did very, very well at the Heswell exhibition. I'm holding an exhibition now because I've got so much work which I've painted over the years, and I've decided I can't just keep it mounting up, so I've decided to have an exhibition and try and sell some of my work, because I know I'm on a different path and I don't want to do what I've been doing in the past, although my work has been all right. But I really want to go to a new level, another level now, where I want to do more abstract and more very different art to what I've been doing. I see something, either a flower or something, and then it just evolves from that. So I don't have a set idea of what I'm going to do until I sit down or start to draw on the paper, and then it comes to me. I'm a bit of a scatty painter because some days I like to do flowers and other days dogs and trees. So there's no structure to really. My brain is just a bit wild, and if I want to do something funny, I do a funny painting. Or I recently did my dogs, and I did them all in character because I thought, I know they're all dogs, but they all got different characters, so I did them all in really different character types of attitude, and I think it worked very well. Yeah, I think to portray, because when you're painting, in actual fact what you're doing is portraying somebody's character, and to do the dogs like that, I thought it was a bit different. So I made Christmas cards out of it, and everybody loved them. So yeah, I think it was good fun. Good fun. I love still life. Yeah, I like still life. It is, it lets you think. Still life lets you think and work out what is on the painting and why the artist did it, or where it was, or and most of the still life, they look like very old paintings, and you think, gosh, it might have been in an old house, an old kitchen, a million things. It just brings a lot to your mind. My greatest indulgence actually is a vodka and tonic at 6 o'clock at night. I have one every night, and sometimes it's getting a little bit earlier and earlier, which is quite worrying. But that's my greatest indulgence, apart from my lovely dog, who I indulge to death. He has a steak for dinner, which most of my friends are appalled at. For a walk, I take the bear along the beach at West Kirby, and I look over to Hilbury Island and the beautiful cliffs, and it's absolutely magnificent. And the lovely sandy beaches, all clean, all beautiful. Yeah, I'm very lucky to live on the Wirral. Everyone should have art on their walls. It inspires you, it makes you feel happy, and there are some paintings that you can look at forever and still keep finding something different about them. And they are the good paintings. They're the paintings that really sell. And even if perspective is not right, or there's something not quite right about them, but you can't help looking at these paintings, you just love them. And that's how I feel. That's what I think is good art. To anybody very young who's just started out painting, I would say paint every day. Paint as much as you can, never stop. Even if you think your work's a mess, doesn't matter, just keep painting. Put your date on your painting and put it away once you've done it, and then years or weeks later look at it and you'll see how you've progressed. If you paint every day, the progression is amazing.